The trade deadline for the 2025 NFL season is quickly approaching, and even before Sunday's game against the lowly Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs were rumored to be in the market for defensive line help. But after losing Omar Norman-Lott, the rookie verging on sensation, I think. He was primed for a breakout, in my opinion. After losing him for the season, the Chiefs are almost definitely in the market for pass rush help, and I think that they will take it in whatever form it comes. So it is maybe a little bit disappointing that the article we'll be discussing today includes only defensive ends, but at the end of the video, I have thrown in a defensive tackle from a team that is supposedly going to be having a fire sale, an absolute fire sale this season because of the way that things have turned out. And that defensive tackle is my favorite name on this list, but there are some interesting names along the way. In an article titled 2025 NFL Trade Deadline, Ranking Top 25 Players Who Could Move by Matt Bowen and Jeremy Fowler, we get the following. Jaelan Phillips, Edge, Miami Dolphins. The buzz, Phillips and teammate Bradley Chubb have circulated in trade rumors. Multiple teams I spoke with believe that Phillips would hold more value than Chubb due to upside. A string of injuries stalled his rising star status, but he's working his way back. But there's this. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel said last week that any Dolphins trade rumors are baseless currently. I do not think that Mike McDaniel will be part of these trade talks, because I do not think Mike McDaniel has quite 10 weeks left on his tenure as the Miami Dolphins head coach. The tape. Injuries have reduced Phillips' explosiveness and range, but he has the physical tools that teams look for on the edge. With his long 6'5" frame, Phillips can play as both an edge setter and a pocket disruptor. He has 25 sacks and 117 pressures over his 5-year career. Predicted chance of getting traded 30%. The team fits. Kansas City Chiefs are one of them. Who is Jaelan Phillips? Well, he is 6'5.5", basically, creeping up on 6'6", 260 pounds, though I think he plays a little heavier now. 21 bench reps, 36-inch vert with a 10'5" broad jump. Those are very good numbers, but not quite so good as his 40-yard dash of 4.58 with a 1.59 10-yard split. A very impressive shuttle drill at 4.18, which scores 9.6 out of 10. This is a guy with 33.25-inch arms, and at 6'5.5", with a shuttle score like that, he is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. In his career, he's never really broken out. You see 8.5 sacks as a rookie, followed by 7, followed by 6.5, followed by 1 on a... So the article suggests that he is a rising star, but his career has gone in a downward trajectory from the sack department. This year he does have 2. Now, maybe that criticism is a little unfair, because in 2023 he played 8 games. Last year he played 4. Still, in 2024, playing 4 games, starting 3 games, never having started a full slate, only twice having played in a full slate, it is difficult to really say that this is a rising star, though I do think that he is a guy with a lot of the tools. Probably the best suited for the Chiefs' defense on this list as far as the defensive ends are concerned. You do see an impressive number of quarterback hits over here. His sophomore campaign in the NFL with 25, a very good number there. Decent on the tackle totals as well. Tackles for loss, maybe a little bit lacking, but a guy that I think that should the Chiefs be able to add for a respectable number, you would certainly want to bring someone like Jaelan Phillips in. Probably, again, like I said, the best suited for the Chiefs' defense on this list, but I don't really know that the scheme appropriateness is going to factor into this as much as just getting after the quarterback, because I do think that the most likely move here is one that is not a headline move. The most likely move here is one that is a guy who can add some pop in the pass rush when Spagnuolo needs him, which means to say that I don't know that they're going to add a starter here, at least at the defensive end position. I think they are most likely to add somebody, hey, it's 3rd and 12. Let's get the pass rush guys on the field. They don't really have that guy in their arsenal right now. They've tried several times in the past few years to get one of those guys, and it has never worked out, which is not surprising because they are very rare in the NFL. But if you have a guy that you think can add a little bit of pop on 3rd and 8, probably that is the move. Jaelan Phillips is more of a starting level guy. So again, you see here 7 games this year. He has started all 7 of the games this year that he has played. The next name on this list is down at 10, Jermaine Johnson, edge from the New York Jets, another guy who entered the league the same year as Karlaftis, went meaningfully ahead of George Karlaftis, but has not quite had the career, I would say, that has George Karlaftis. The Jets are not desperate to trade Johnson. Good edge rushers are hard to find, and his $13.4 million salary for 2026, a 5th-year option, is reasonable, which makes him very, very valuable in the trade market as well. But my sense, after asking around, is that New York would be more willing to part with Johnson than Will McDonald IV. If it made any move, at the position, McDonald is in the 3rd year of his rookie deal, whereas Johnson is in the 4th, and Johnson has garnered a bit of interest thus far. The tape: an Achilles injury forced Johnson to miss 15 games in 2024, and he had to sit for 3 earlier this season with an ankle issue, but when healthy, he has the strength and the lower body quickness to attack the pocket. Johnson had his best numbers in 2023, pre-Achilles injury, when he totaled 7.5 sacks and 16 pressures. Predicted chance of getting traded, 35%. Not among the team fits here is Kansas City, and part of that has to do with this here, 6'4.5", 6'5", 254, so a little bit on the lighter pass rush type guy mold. A 10-foot-5-inch broad jump, only a 32-inch vertical, which is interesting. When you look at his build, he really is one of these guys that you look at and you say, wow, that's a guy who can play football. Football is an explosive sport, does not have an explosive vertical. Not the biggest deal in the world, obviously. At that 6'4.5", he has 34-inch arms, so he can still get up into passing lanes without leaving his feet. A 4.58 40-yard dash, which scores 9.08 out of 10. It was at a pro day, so these numbers are projected, not official. Then you look at his career here. 2 games last year, 4 games so far this year, so you kind of take that off. 14 games as a rookie with 0 starts. He was really behind the 8 ball in his career, at least when you compare him to someone like George Karlaftis. Karlaftis kind of entered the league more as a finished product, but Johnson was drafted so highly because of his potential. Never has he reached that potential. Has 1 sack so far on the season in 4 games. Again, that highlight year there for him, 2023, with 7.5 sacks, 55 tackles, 16 quarterback hits, 11 tackles for loss. So he is able to impact the play. This would have to be, I think, a fairly low asking price for the Kansas City Chiefs if they were to get in on this, and I think he is likely to get bid up in this market despite the injuries because of, again, that ceiling that he has and the fact that he does have that 5th-year option, which would be a cheap number if you can get the 2023 production out of him. Then we move forward. The next name on the list was down at 13, Arden Key, edge from the Titans, the Buzz. The Titans are open to trading players who are in the last year of a contract and not in the franchise's long-term plans. Key fits that mold, and if pass rush hunting teams strike out on big names, Key is a serviceable alternative. The Titans just lost rookie pass rusher Olufemi Oladejo for significant time to a fractured leg, so they might need to keep Key to offset attrition. If I were the Titans, I would not. I would basically forfeit this season and trade everything that I had in which anyone was interested. You can pick up a guy off the street because who cares if he is able to help you win games? That is not the goal this season. The tape, with his length at 6'5" and short area closing speed, Key can set up on the edge or schemed out of loaded fronts. In 5 games played this season, Key has 1.5 sacks, and he had a total of 12.5 over his previous 2 seasons with Tennessee. Key could be viewed as a situational pass rusher for a contending team. Predicted chance of getting traded 40%, and the Chiefs are not listed among team fits. You see down here that he is 6'4" and 7/10, basically 6'5", 238 pounds. I think he plays a little bit heavier than that now. 31-inch vert, 4'8", 840. You're looking at a guy that is kind of nowhere physically. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's certainly not the heaviest guy in the world. He's not the greatest at setting an edge. He's not the most explosive guy in the world. He's not the strongest guy in the world. He is not the fastest guy in the world. But he's a fairly decent contributor. You see here his career stats. The issue I would have with this move is you're basically getting a tall Mike Dana. You see here sacks all the way down at 2021, which was his 4th year in the league, 6.5, then 4.5, then 6 in 2023, 6.5 last year. This is kind of a Mike Dana type production. If you're going to be trading assets, why trade assets to acquire a player you kind of already have? Quarterback hits, he has 89 through his career, entered the league the year after Patrick Mahomes, so he's not a young guy either. And you see Oakland, Las Vegas, those are the same team, but then San Francisco, Jacksonville, Tennessee. He is a bit well-traveled, and that happens a lot of times in the NFL when you're a guy that's at that middling type of range. So what the Chiefs, I think, might end up doing, what they might have to end up doing, is I don't think that this is as high an impact player as Charles Omenihu. So between Charles Omenihu, who is better than this player, and Mike Dana, who is kind of this player, and then you have a rookie that you like, that you want to get reps, but isn't really producing all that much. Well, what happens if you go ahead and you slide a Omenihu inside, and then you acquire a Mike Dana type guy for the outside? That might be what ends up having to happen in order to simply get more pop on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is where a move like this would come into play. That is where something like this would make a little bit of sense. I don't think he is able to play any on the inside, so what are you really looking at doing? What is the asking price? I wish that guys like this who wrote this, Jeremy Fowler, etc., who are more connected than am I, would have put in their estimates for the asking price on these players. Moving forward, 16, Arnold Ebiketie, edge from Atlanta, the Buzz. Ebiketie has had trade interest going back to the offseason. The 2022 second-round pick is on an expiring contract, and rookies James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker are a big part of Atlanta's future at edge rusher. The Falcons don't necessarily want to trade Ebiketie, but typically at least listen to offers when presented. The tape, at 6'2", 250 pounds, Ebiketie fits the profile of a 3-4 edge rusher who can be schemed in sub-package sets. Ebiketie is a linear mover with a short area speed and the hand usage to set up blockers. Defenses could use Ebiketie as a nickel rusher. He doesn't have a sack yet in 2025, but he had exactly 6 in each of the past 2 seasons. Predicted chance of getting traded, 25%. The Chiefs are not listed among the fits there. What are you looking at? Well, the aforementioned 6'2", 250 is a problem for the Kansas City Chiefs, but again, I don't think you're looking necessarily at scheme fit as the most important thing right now, as much as asking price and what can he add. And despite the fact that he's only 6'2", he has 34 and an 1/8 inch arms. He had a 38-inch vert, a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, very good numbers there, 4.66 40-yard dash, a short shuttle of 4.24, 3-cone of 6.95, a very good athlete here. You see the overall grade of 8.9, but that doesn't necessarily match what he's done on the field through his 3 full seasons in the NFL just yet. You see he has started a maximum of 6 games in 2023 for the Falcons. I don't know that this would be a move that made sense, despite the fact that I said that the scheme fit is not all that important at this point in the season, because I think the asking price on Ebiketie is likely to get driven up, despite the fact that he has 12 total starts through 3.5 seasons because of some of those physical tools. When you're taking things like this into account, you're asking your defensive coordinator, hey, can you milk the production out of this guy, because he does have the tools? And every competent defensive coordinator in the NFL is going to say, he's got those tools. Yeah, I can work with this. I can make this work. So despite the fact that as a rookie he had 2.5 sacks, and then aforementioned he had 6 sacks in consecutive seasons, that production, Mike Dana-like production, is likely to be overshadowed by the physical tools, by the explosiveness, by the change of direction, all of those things that he does possess. So the asking price here might get bid up a little bit, and 11 quarterback hits as a rookie, 12 the next 2 seasons, which is a really interesting thing. It does spell that he is a consistent player, that for 2 consecutive seasons, not only did he get 6 sacks, but he was converting at the same rate, hitting the quarterback 12 times, getting sacks 6 times. So I would not be against this move, depending on the asking price, but what are you really getting out of it, I think, has to be the question there. Then we have the next name on this list, Kingsley Enagbare from the Packers. The Buzz. Enagbare started in 2024, but felt the squeeze of Micah Parsons' trade, getting relegated to a reserve role. While Green Bay typically likes to keep its draft and develop talent, Enagbare probably would welcome a chance to play more elsewhere in a contract year. The tape. Enagbare lacks high-end play speed, but he has a quick first step off the ball and can win with power at the point of attack. He has seen his snap count reduced in Green Bay, but he could be viewed as rotational edge defender. Enagbare had 4.5 sacks last season. Predicted chance of getting traded, 25%. Again, the Chiefs not listed among the team fits. Well, why? You look at him, he's 6'3", 258, basically 6'4", 258, explosive, 34 and 3/4 inch arms. Very impressive there. 4.87 40-yard dash. The agility numbers very, very bad for Enagbare. 6.26 overall score. What is the asking price here would be my question, because you're getting a guy who can get to the quarterback, not very often, not a starter. So started 18 games total in his career, 0 this year. Has played, however, in every game the first 3 seasons of his career. So able to stay healthy, able to get on the field, able to get after the quarterback a little bit. This is a move I think that would not be a needle mover if you were trading very little value. This is a move that I would be all right with, but I don't know what would be the impact. So here is the name that is not on in the article, but I have seen discussed multiple places, multiple times. Apparently the asking price is a 2nd round pick. That's a little bit high, but I really like Quinnen Williams. I really like his personality. So Quinnen Williams of the Jets, defensive tackle, 9.84 RAS score, but he did not do the agility tests, 6'3", 303, so you're not looking at a big run-stuffing defensive tackle, though he is good against the run, 30.5-inch vert, but a 9'5" broad jump, a 4.83 40-yard dash for a defensive tackle, pretty good number there, 10-yard split of 1.67. The only person I have ever seen in an interview sneeze, bless himself, and then thank himself for the blessing. If you have not seen that clip, definitely worth looking up. Is getting a little bit older. It's 28 years old. In the back of my mind, Quinnen Williams, for some reason, is in his third year in the NFL, but that is not the case. He is able to get after the quarterback as a defensive tackle. Stays on the field relatively well throughout his career. 7 games, 7 starts this season, just 1 sack. But you look back through his career, he had a season in 2022 where he got 12 sacks. I think he would accelerate his sack total on the Kansas City Chiefs, benefiting from lining up next to Chris Jones. And though he has 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits this season, he has 31 tackles already, which puts him on pace to demolish his 2024 total, puts him on pace to probably be at a career high in tackles, already has 7 tackles for loss. If the asking price is a second rounder, I don't know if that makes sense. If you're getting him for less than a second, if you're getting him for even a third, one round later, you're getting a player that is going to make an impact on your defense. You're getting a player that suddenly transforms this defense. I think Quinnen Williams would take this defensive line to the next level. He would take this defensive total to the next level because you're able to free up your linebackers. You're able to blitz with your linebackers and know at that point that you're getting home. This would be my favorite move on the list. If you could, so another thing you have to keep in mind, if you acquire Quinnen Williams and everything works out for you this season from an injury standpoint moving forward, which obviously it's the NFL, you never know about, you have to be Super Bowl favorites. So if the asking price is a second-round pick, kind of who cares? Because it's going to be the 32nd pick in the second round of the draft. So if that gets you another ring, I say go for it. And, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, Quinnen Williams, did the Kansas City Chiefs just want to go ahead and trade for everything that the Jets have worth taking? The constituent parts of one of the worst teams in the NFL. But anyway, I think that Quinnen Williams would be an absolute home run addition. Will they be able to afford it? I don't know, because who's going to trade what, right? If you have any other offer from any other team in the same round as the Kansas City Chiefs, you take that one, because the Chiefs are likely to be drafting very late in the draft. So the Chiefs have to outbid. So anybody else is giving you a second-round pick. Do you have to give a second and a fifth? What are you giving up here? I think that is a little bit of a rich asking price. I don't know if that is completely accurate, but those are the numbers that I have seen floated out there. Anyway, guys, that is what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.